Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are talking about the life-changing magic of tidying up. If you have been following this channel for the past few weeks, I talked about how I'm doing Project Zero, how I'm focusing on appreciating what I have, not thinking about the things that I lack, the things that I think I want, and really kind of figuring out what I truly do want. With that, I started a Facebook group that's totally free to join. It is still open, so if you want to join it, make sure to click below and go join it. We're just supporting each other. Everybody's kind of doing it together, and it's really fun. It's a really great group, and I've been really loving it all month long. So in conjunction with Project Zero, I did decide to declutter my entire house using the Konmari method. This is her book. It's called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. She also has a second one called Spark Joy. This is her original book and the one that maps out the method that I'm going to be talking about with you today. So I would recommend starting here, but this is a really good organizational tool for once you've done this. So they do go hand in hand. They're not like the same book. They're very different. The second book, Spark Joy, talks about how to organize everything after you've decluttered it. It gives you all the folding techniques with pictures and lots of things like that. So, the reason why I decided to do this was because my life has been bogged down by stuff forever. For as long as I can remember, one of the recurring themes in my life was just, you have a lot of stuff. Ex-boyfriends, even Tim, I have a lot of stuff. He's moved me a bunch of times. I have a lot of makeup, I've got a lot of clothes. I always had like clothes overspilling in my closets and so many shoes that I didn't even wear half of them, and just stuff, just everything. It felt like I always had just stuff, and then I kept buying stuff, and I was like, you know what I really want to do with Project Zero is focus on figuring out, why do I keep buying all this stuff? What is the point of me buying all of these things that like I really only like the moment that I buy them, and then once I get them home, that joy goes away for me. It's not like it's sustained. I would buy makeup, bring it home, and then never use it again. And so clearly I was trying to fill a gap within myself by buying things and thinking that I needed these things because they're new, because I should review them, because I should have them, instead of focusing on what I truly want, what means something to me, what brings me joy, and what makes me happy. And I had seen this book in stores before, and the title, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, legitimately terrified me because I knew this book was going to force me to get my life in order, and I just wasn't ready for it, and I would never even read the back of it. I wouldn't even go near this. I had like a visceral reaction to this where anytime I would see it, I'd be like, whoa, I don't even want to, I can't even think about it, because I was so bogged down by all my stuff and feeling attached to all my stuff, I think, that I couldn't like separate myself from it and think like I could tidy it or kind of organize it and declutter and de-stress my life. It just always seemed too daunting because there's legitimately so much stuff. But finally, I started Project Zero. I'm like, I want to appreciate what I have. I want to find out what brings me joy. You know what? I am going to start doing The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which you want to start by reading the book. I did watch Kimberly Clark's video on this, which I'm going to link below. It's a great video reviewing the Konmari method, and I love what she had to say about it. I will have that link below for you guys so you can go watch it. I highly recommend her. I watch everything that she uploads. She's fantastic. She started the whole anti-haul trend along with Amber, Girl Behind the Chair, which I'll also link her below too. They both kind of started it at similar times, and they're both awesome ladies, so go check them out. But I watched her video on this before I read the book, and she just further inspired me to do it. I picked up the book. I started reading this the first day of Project Zero, and I had my sister's graduation, and I finished it in about 3 days, the book. Came home after her graduation, and I started on Tuesday. I did a whole before and after house tour that I will also link below for you guys, as well as a full declutter series of my entire makeup collection. It's a series of 6 videos where we go from 3 IKEA 9 drawers to 2, and everything is like laid out, really organized so that I can see it and use everything that I have. It's awesome. So I will have all of that linked below for you guys. So check the description bar if you want a lot of information about what I'm talking about. So to get down to the nitty-gritty, the whole point of this book is to identify what brings you joy and what doesn't. And I love that because it makes you really think about what brings you happiness, what you actually love. And it's funny when you're going through the method, if you've been a person who you're not really sure what your personal style is, it really kind of helps you discover that throughout the method. And you get to, if you physically touch every item that you own. It's really unique to this method. It doesn't have any rules, like if you have had it for 6 months and haven't worn it, or if you've had it for 2 years and haven't worn it, you have to throw it out. You touch every item of everything that you own, and you decide if it brings you joy, and if it does, you keep it, and if it doesn't, it goes in the donation or trash pile. And the way that you organize this is by category. So you don't do this by room. It's very important in the KonMari method that you organize it by category. So I have all my categories here, and I want to tell you guys how I broke this down. I did break it down exactly like she describes it in the book, which is starting with clothing, and then you separate that into subcategories, which are tops, bottoms, hanging clothes, socks, underwear, bags, accessories, special event items, and shoes. So I separated all those out here, and I put little boxes next to them that I could check off when I finish them. And then after clothing, you move to books, and that's pleasure, practical, references, visual, and magazines. And then you move to papers, then to kimono, which is miscellaneous items, and that can be separated into makeup, CDs, DVDs, skincare, accessories, valuables, electrical equipment, household equipment, kitchen goods, and other goods like figurines, change, things like that. You don't want to do your like home and work items at the same time. You want to do all of your personal belongings, and that's what I did first before I went through anything that had to do with my business, which is obviously out of my home. So you want to go through all of your personal items first, and you want to do it in that order. You can kind of separate the order, like the subdivisions, into whatever that you like to do, but you want to make sure you're gathering it all together. So this might be clothing for you. You want to make sure it's all in one place when you're going through it. So I did, like, I got all my tops out and searched the house for like every top that you own, the car, your gym bags, get every top you own, because anything you find after you do the KonMari method automatically goes into the donation pile. So it's your one chance to get everything in one room. That's at least how she says to do it. Obviously, if you find something and it brings you joy, you don't necessarily have to like get rid of it, but it just makes you find everything and really like look and search for it, because if you're not willing to search for it, chances are it doesn't bring you joy, right? So you want to make sure that you get everything in one area, and then you physically touch every item. Now this was really the most interesting part for me. I did start with clothes, I ended with makeup, and I think that was perfect for me. Starting with clothing is really challenging, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's hard. It's hard to touch every item that you own. It was hard to do the kitchen. It was hard to do every part of it, but visualizing it being completed was a very big part of this experience for me. Visualizing my house being in order, visualizing the weight of my stuff lifted off of me. All that was so important in my completing this method. I think had I actually been thinking about all the things that I was doing that was leading up to it be completed, would have really stressed me out. Even doing the before tour that I did of the house right afterwards, I needed like a 20-minute break where I composed myself, because walking through your whole house and seeing everything that you have to do is pretty overwhelming. And we only have like 1,400 square feet here. That's including our basement, which isn't completely finished, that I had to clean out. We don't have kids. We only have one dog. Like, you know, if you're doing this and you have like 3 kids or whatnot, or a couple kids, then it's going to be a little bit more. So, like going through looking at everything is pretty overwhelming at the beginning. So I don't necessarily recommend doing it, although I'm really glad that I did document my before tour so that I could see it afterwards and what it actually looked like. It was pretty shocking to me. I always knew that I was living amongst a lot of clutter, but even looking at it on the daily now and how it doesn't get cluttered anymore, and how everything has a home and it has a place where it goes to rest, and it's just so awesome. So I'm loving my house now. I recommend at least taking pictures if you don't take a video. That way you can reference them later and see how much work you did, and just really appreciate and internalize that, because it is a lot of hard work, and it is fun to kind of go back and look at that. So, but after doing that, I had to kind of take a deep breath and pause and say, okay, this is going to get done. You know this is going to get done. This is something that's important to you. It's motivating to you. It's inspiring to you to put your house in order, so we're going to do it, and we're going to focus on clothes. So I think clothes is the perfect place to start. I understood when I started doing it why she has you do clothing first, and I think it's because, you know, that's kind of like, that's our style, that's our aesthetic, right? It's like we wear clothes every single day, and it's something that we have a lot of emotional attachment to. So I think it really helps you hone that sense of like knowing what brings you joy and happiness and what doesn't. It is really hard at first to get that sense, you know? I had kind of a few at the beginning where I'd pick up and I was like, I don't know if this brings me joy. And I had a maybe pile. And she kind of recommends that so that you can go back through at the very end and pick up the pieces in that maybe pile and do them individually. But you don't want to pick up 5 things at once. You want to pick up one thing, and you get this, you're not supposed to have the TV on, no music. Like, I did this in silence, guys. You could put ambient noise on if you want, like waves or like a sound machine, but you really want to like listen to your clothing. You know, it's this kind of like relationship that you have with the items that you own, that you have like wanted, right? That you've purchased, that you have a connection to, and it's kind of recognizing that. And the items that don't bring you joy, you are supposed to discard them with gratitude, thanking them for a job well done, for clothing you, for supporting you and your life, and discard them. And that way you don't have any like pent up like guilt or resentment for letting them go. It doesn't matter if they were expensive. It doesn't matter if you never wore them. What matters is that you thank them for performing their role, their duty to you in your life, which could have been, you know, wearing it until it had holes in it, or buying it, and the thrill of buying it is what you needed in that moment, and it served its purpose with you through giving you the thrill of buying it, and it doesn't fit who you are anymore. It doesn't bring you joy, so you get rid of it. It really takes the guilt of getting rid of things that either were gifts, you know, that you bought on a whim, that might have been expensive. It takes that off of you, because if it doesn't bring you joy, you don't keep it. And I realized while I was going through my clothing specifically, how many things I had been keeping because of those reasons. They were so expensive, I felt bad getting rid of them. I thought, you know, I bought this and I never wore it. It still has the tags on it, but I don't really like it. I don't know why I bought it. You know, it was just like exciting to buy it. But I don't want it anymore. And it literally, I could feel all of that kind of going out of me while I was doing this method. That was like a really important part of this. After I did all of my clothing, I had myself a good cry, because there is this like big release. I got rid of 15 full bags of clothing, went to donation, which I had donated 9 bags of clothing the month before, like 4 weeks before I did this method. So 24 bags of clothing, guys. That's a lot of clothing to get rid of in a month, and I just felt this huge weight lifted off of me, and kind of the reasons why I was keeping these things, I didn't realize were kind of like deep-seated issues that I needed to let go of. And so it really helps you like emotionally and spiritually, and just I connect to yourself and what you love, what brings you happiness and joy, and touching every piece of clothing that you have and then putting it back in order and folding it the way that she suggests folding it is so powerful and awesome, because you then know everything that you own. Like, I know every piece of clothing that I own because I held every piece of clothing that I own. Every pair of underwear, every bra, every stocking, every tank top, every pair of workout shorts and pants. Everything. And then you fold it so that you can see all your items, so nothing is buried, nothing's smashed. You fold them in kind of a way that's like rolling, but it's not rolling. They stand up on their own, which it outlines in the book for you. So clothing and makeup were the two most powerful for me, and I bookended it. So I did clothing at the beginning and makeup at the end. I knew makeup would take a really long time, and it did take a full day, and part of that was because I filmed it for you guys. But that was really important for me to kind of do it that way, and I'm really glad that I did. Books was pretty easy for me. With this method, you're gonna have attachment to different things, right? We all have different things that we love, that bring us joy, that bring us happiness. And so the things that bring you a lot of happiness, that you really like, that you're really nervous about getting rid of, that's where you're gonna struggle the most. The most important thing is that you recognize that the amount of things that you keep doesn't matter. So there's no goal to like fit things in a certain amount of space, right? It's what brings you joy. And there's no like set rules other than that one. If it doesn't bring you joy, then it goes. And that's my favorite part about this system, because it doesn't mean you can only keep 20 books or 50 items of clothing. You know, it doesn't detail it like that. So if you're a person and you love books or you love CDs, and 200 CDs make you happy and bring you joy, you keep 200 CDs. Just like me with my makeup. You know, I have more makeup than the average person. I'm a collector, and it's part of my job, and it brings me so much joy. Like, I love having my makeup, and all of it brings me joy, and it's way more than one person needs, and I'm okay with that. So recognize that this method is going to be different for every single person, and if you need 2 closets of clothing and that makes you feel joyful because you love every piece of clothing in those closets, then that is what you should do. So it's all about your personal attachment to the things that you own, the things that make you happy, and realizing that through this method, which is why I think it works so well. The statistics she said is like 99% of the people that go through this method with her or through the book don't rebound, and it's because you're keeping things that you love, and you're not having to throw things out because there are rules that if you haven't worn it for a year, it has to go. And I think that's so key, and why this method works so well for so many people. It's a lot. Getting everything out and touching it, I think she said the standard amount of time it takes people is 2 to 3 months, but it can take up to a year to do it. I did it in 3 days. She says that you should do it as fast as you possibly can. I have a lot of stuff, and you can see that in my before and after house tour. I did have a lot of stuff, but I don't have kids, so like it was all my stuff, and I didn't go through any of Tim's stuff. And I also did not go through like stuff at my parents' house, which is in West Virginia. Most of that was actually here though, so sentimental items like photos, journals, things like that you do last. So I do have some of that here, but not all of it. So if you're doing all of that, it will take a little bit longer, but I really devoted like 3 full days of my life to this because I wanted to get it done as fast as I can. She says the faster that you do it, the greater impact that it will have on you, and I 101,000% agree. I could not imagine doing this over a span. I could imagine doing it for like 1 to 2 weeks, but I could never imagine doing it for 3 months or a year because of how emotional it was for me. After the 3 days were over, I felt so drained. I had such a weird day. The day after, I was like, what do I do now? I legitimately had opened up so much brain space that I didn't have to think of like, oh, I need to clean, or oh, I need to like, I really should go through my clothes, or I should just really like pick this up. Because I had, all that brain space was gone. Everything had a home. It had a place. There was no clutter. It was also clean, and I knew what I had done. Like I knew every item that I owned, and I was trying to think if there was anything I forgot. Like, did I forget a drawer? Did I forget this and this and this? It's okay if you do. You can just go back and do it. It's not a big deal. But the big point was that it's emotional. Like you're getting rid of a lot of baggage from stuff that doesn't bring you joy. And even though it doesn't bring you joy, it's a really emotional experience. And I definitely had an emotional hangover. That's what Tim and I always call it, from doing this, from getting rid of all that stuff. We got rid of furniture. The total trash count was 33 bags of trash. So I got rid of 33 bags of trash and 45 bags of donation plus furniture. So it was 78 bags total, like full size, 45 gallon? I don't know what the gallons are, guys, but normal like kitchen tall trash bags. Plus furniture. And that's a lot of bags of stuff. And so you can imagine just like the physical weight of 75 bags of stuff. And then imagine like how much emotional weight that was carrying for me, right? In so many different ways. And so know going in that like this is an emotional experience and it's supposed to be that way. And if it's not that way, then it's not gonna work well, because the point of it is to develop an emotional attachment to your things so that you treat them better, so that you don't keep just buying stuff to buy stuff, so that you buy stuff that really brings you joy and that really makes you happy, and it recalibrates the way that you think about purchasing, and it really helps you to, I think, be a smarter consumer. And it's completely changed my life. I am a completely different person. Tim is so funny because the house is like clean all the time. When I want to clean, the other day I vacuumed, Swiffered, like mopped, cleaned all the surfaces, the bathroom. It took me 40 minutes to do the entire house because I didn't have to constantly pick up clutter and move stuff around. I just cleaned everything and then I was done. Part of the thing with this method is that once you finish decluttering, which you're supposed to do all the decluttering first before you start organizing anything, which I think would also be really hard if you were doing this over like 3 to 6 months because you just kind of have stuff out. But part of the decluttering, or part of the KonMari method, is that at the end of it, everything has a home. So you find a home for everything. You don't just stuff it back in your drawers. There's a specific way to fold everything and to display things so that you can see everything that you own. You're not supposed to bury it in closets or behind things. You make it so that you can see everything that you own. That's how my makeup is. That's how all my skincare is now. That's how all of our cleaning supplies are, how Toby's toys are, and so and my clothing. And so you make it so that you can actually see the items you own so that you can use them and enjoy them. And having everything have a home has been like the most life-changing thing for me. One of the crazy realizations is that if you ever lose something, you know exactly where to look, and if it's not there, then it's probably gone. You may have lost it like outside, because when I come home, I just treat my things better. Instead of throwing clothes everywhere and leaving shoes at the front door or a place, I put everything in its home to rest, because they serve us throughout the day, right? Our clothing, our shoes, our books, they're serving us throughout the day, and she says they need their time to rest. And thank them for a job well done, put them back on the shelf, and then when you need it, you go get it. But I've just gotten into this habit of putting everything back in its place, because its place isn't just lying around. That's not its home. Just how, you know, this is our home and we want to treat it with respect and treat all of our possessions with that same kind of love and respect. And so to do that, we need to find a home for them within our home. And that has been the most life-changing part of it for me. I just am much tidier because I put everything back. I don't feel the need to just leave stuff out and about. I think my mind was really lazy in the past, where I would just be like, oh, I don't want to, because there was just stuff everywhere always. And now there's not stuff everywhere, and I want to put things back in their place. I want to treat my possessions better. I do laundry more. Like, just, it's all crazy how much this has changed my life. At the end of the day, I highly, highly, highly recommend this for you. If you can resonate with anything that I'm saying in regards to having a lot of stuff, feeling bogged down by stuff, just buying things for the sake of buying things, not really wanting them or enjoying them, or buying them, getting them home, not using them. If you have clothes that have tags on them, a lot of them, or if you feel like you've been holding on to things for reasons that don't serve you anymore, I would recommend doing this method, you guys. It's so life-changing, so worth it. I'm a huge fan of it. I'm so glad that I did it. It's one of the best things I've ever done for myself, and I have been recommending it to everybody. All my clients, my Project Zero group, they're all starting to declutter, and I just love it. And they've all been reading the book, which I will have linked below. You can get it on Amazon. And it's, guys, it's cheap. It's a book. Or you can get it on your Kindle too. I think Renee, my community manager, has it on her Kindle. And so I recommend it. I'm trying to think if there's any last thing that I wanted to say to you guys. I think I gave you a lot of good information. I told you how I set it up, which was important. Visualizing it being done is so important. So don't think about the future. Think about what you're doing right then. Be in the moment with it. If you think too much about what else you have to do, you're gonna not succeed at the method because it'll be too overwhelming. So just think about what you're doing in that moment. Know that there's not a set timeline. What is going to work best for you is not going to work best for everybody else. So you do you with this method. It's about what brings you joy, not about what you have or haven't used. It's about what brings you joy. I kept things that I hadn't seen in over a year because I forgot they existed because they were somewhere where they shouldn't have been. And I kept a lot of them because they all brought me so much joy. And that's completely fine. There are no rules with that. It's just if it brings you joy. So I think that's the best part of this method. And it makes it about you, not about anybody else. And so focus on how your items make you feel. Don't watch TV. Don't put on music with lyrics. Put on ambient music, like light meditation style music, if you want to listen to anything, but that'll help you connect better and like feel the energy of your things, like if you really do love it or if you don't, because it is hard at the beginning to be able to tell, but you will get in the rhythm of it and it'll just be like second nature. And if you guys watch my declutter videos, I know a lot of you were like, you're ruthless, but I just knew that was the last thing I did. And I did that for a reason, so that I knew what would bring me joy and knew what was bringing me joy and what wasn't. And so I was just kind of going through it, like throwing it out, keeping it, throwing it out, keeping it, because I just knew, like, it brought me joy, it didn't. And you learn that. It helps you cultivate a sense of what you really want in life, and I love it. So if you guys have any specific questions for me, you can always email me. My email will be below, or join Project Zero to help us finish out the last days of it, and you can ask your questions or follow us along in there. So I love you. Thank you for watching this video. I know it was a long one, but I hope that it helped you understand this method a little bit more, give you an overview, and help you decide whether or not it is the right way for you to go. So I will see you on the next one. Mwah.